This is the Orbit Yard Enforcer, Model 62100 motion-activated pest deterrent sprinkler. I picked this up specifically with the idea of protecting both a vegetable garden and a recently planted perennial pollinator garden from marauding hordes of white-tailed deer that frequently roam through the neighborhood. Let's take a look inside the box. First are the instructions. These are in Espanol, but fortunately for me, on the reverse is the English version. Next is the sensor unit. On the side are a number of controls for setting the operation mode, the duration of the sprinkler activation, and the range of the sensor. There's also a 30-minute water cycle button that transforms the unit into a traditional sprinkler for half an hour. After that is the valve and riser assembly, to which all the other parts will be attached. Then we have the step spike, which allows the unit to be anchored to the ground. This also features the point of attachment for a garden hose. And last but not least is the sprinkler head. Prior to assembly, I'm going to install the batteries in the sensor unit. The waterproof battery tray is accessed from the back. Push on the tab and pull the tray out. This actually requires a fair amount of force. 4 AA alkaline batteries, 2 on each side of the tray, are installed. With the operation dial on the sensor set to the off position, the tray is reinserted. The first step in the instructions is to thread the riser onto the valve. In my particular case, though, these two pieces were already joined, so I just decided to make sure the connection was snug. Next, the mounting arm of the sensor is slipped onto the riser. The sprinkler is then threaded onto the top of the riser. After that, the step spike is threaded onto the bottom of the valve. And finally, the cable coming from the valve is attached to the receptacle on the sensor. This is keyed and can only be inserted one way. The physical setup of the unit is pretty straightforward. It consists largely of sticking it in the ground and attaching a garden hose. There are, however, a few optional adjustments. First is the setting of the sprinkler's sweep pattern, or the angle through which the head rotates. This is the same mechanism that's found on standard rotary sprinklers, where the trip pin of the sprinkler head is positioned between the tabs of 2 movable friction collars. Second is the setting to control the distance of the water spray. Push down on the deflector shield and rotate the distance control knob to adjust. I decided to start with this in its default position. Now it's time to open the spigot, activate the unit, and test this thing out. For a basic test, I approached the unit from each side of the yard, starting at a distance of about 15 to 20 feet. All of the settings here were in factory default positions. As a note, there is a delay period between each sprinkler activation of 10 to 15 seconds. For the last portion of the test, I thought I'd try to be stealthy, moving slowly and relatively low to the ground. I was a bit surprised at how close I was able to get using this approach, but not too concerned, as the deer I'm hoping to defend against would obviously be much taller. Nevertheless, I thought I'd try angling the sensor slightly downward and increasing the range setting to see if it would help better detect smaller intruders. And it did seem to make a significant difference, with the unit being activated when I was a good bit further away. I also performed these same tests in darkness. I didn't include any footage, however, as my camera is not night vision capable, and it just would have looked like this. The unit did well, though, detecting my presence and triggering in each situation. Now, I've only had the Yard Enforcer for a week, but at this point I'm certainly satisfied. Both my vegetables and flowers are untouched, and I'm fairly confident that they'll remain that way.